Welcome to the latest episode of Branding the Experience, where we discuss ways where we can create environments where employees actually want to come to work and customers want to keep coming back. Hi, I'm Ken Bader, your host for Branding the Experience. Our subject today is the transparent brand. And I've talked about this before. In fact, the content this week, both the Cool Culture Corner podcast with Jenny Bellinger, which talks about team culture, and the article that I share that's based on an interview that I did with Justin Rekla in the Clear podcast on building a transparent culture, certainly ties into that. And I think that that's where we start. But we also have to be cognizant, especially this day and age, of being transparent with those we serve. I mentioned in the podcast a couple weeks ago that from a branding perspective, it seems like all I'm doing when I'm watching TV is seeing a commercial from Wells Fargo on saying, well, we screwed up again, and we're going back to our core. Well, maybe if we were at our core from the very beginning and we're transparent to people rather than opening up accounts blindly, maybe that wouldn't have been an issue. And in all transparency, I'm certainly not a Wells Fargo hater. I've been a customer for a long time of Wells Fargo, for about a decade, and with a couple of rare instances, I've actually had very good service and experiences with Wells Fargo. So the reason that it's one of the few times I actually talk about them negatively, it's because I am a customer and will remain a customer because I've had a good experience with them. But it's not just simply Wells Fargo. Uber had problems and even had to change their CEO, and now they're having commercials out there about, hey, we're changing everything and we're gonna go down a different path, and of course Facebook is out there as well. I still use Facebook. Many of you may be watching this off of Facebook, and obviously I use Wells Fargo. Not quite sold on the Uber brand yet. My favorite brand of ride sharing is Lyft, because I've always had a great experience with Lyft. Not so much with Uber, and I actually haven't used them in at least 3 years right now. But having a culture that allows for a transparent brand is very critical these days. Even if you screw up, it's by saying, hey, I messed up, we messed up, this is where we went wrong, and this is what we're doing to change it before it becomes a problem. Now, the Wells Fargo and the Uber situations and the Facebook, it became a problem, and then they became transparent. And the problem with that is it seems insincere, like these politicians that get caught doing something wrong, and then they say, oh, I'm so ashamed. Oh, I'm so sorry that I hurt people. Well, it's so much more sincere and so much more believable when they come out, whether it's a politician or a business, come out first and say, you know what, we notice that this is a problem. It's an issue within our business. We want to let you know, whether you know about it or you don't currently know about it, that we're on top of it, and we're going to make those changes before we're forced to make those changes. Now that adds a lot of sincerity, because I know myself, I've made plenty of mistakes, some small, some large, in my life and in business. I don't think anybody that's watching this particular show has gone through a perfect life. And I think that for the majority of consumers out there, before it becomes public, if we can be transparent and say, you know what, we messed up on this, and we're going to do something different, I think it speaks volumes. And I'll give you one particular example from my other business. As you know, I do this from the Bader Training and Consulting platform, but I also run the Police Officers Credit Union Association. And one of the things that I noticed after a number of years, actually over a decade of running that organization, that I probably didn't do as good a job at vetting and picking our sponsors for that particular association. And I've said this bluntly in videos and in speeches to the association members. And I certainly didn't do this on purpose, but thought, all right, well, if they're a sponsor and they're willing to write a check, then let's bring them on board. And while nothing truly bad ever really happened, it was obvious that some of the sponsors that we had weren't always well aligned with our mission. Some basically used it as a forum for a quick money grab, asking for donations without any real foundation, or using it as just a blatant hard sell job. And that wasn't right for our association. So over the last 2 to 3 years, I've been very, very cognizant at making sure that we have the right sponsors for the POCUA. But before anybody brought that to my attention or came to me and said, hey, you need to do a better job with these sponsors. This has happened, that's happening. I saw the problem and went out publicly to our association members and said, you know what? This is an issue, and this is what we're doing about it. And I would hope that gave me just a little bit more credibility with our honored members, as well as the business partners that have been around for a long time in that particular organization. So look for ways to truly be transparent in your brand. If you do have an obstacle, you do have an issue, maybe it may be a wise idea to make that public beforehand and let people know exactly what you're doing about it before somebody else makes it public. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me today, and here's hoping that you're branding the experience at a very high level for all those you serve. Take care.